Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome back to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to have you back again today. And first off, we'll tend to some questions and inquiries that we've had on how do I get more of the previous segments, the shows on the Globetrotters, the athletes, the different technologies, engineering, humanitarian, environmental, whatever. And very simple. Go on YouTube, click on A Time for Truth show, and hit the subscribe button. We would love to have you as one of our viewers. There you go. So now, today, we're going to be covering a topic that plagues us all. You know, we get home, had a long day, we're happy to be with our special other, whether it be a wife with her husband, a husband with her wife. We get to the door, and something happens. It's not what we expect. And there's tumult. I know you've never experienced it. Only happens to a few. There's upset. There are words spoken. Some, unfortunately, have been censored from the show. And there are things that transpire between the couple, between the friends. It's not just relegated to couples. It also can happen between friends. It can happen socially. It can happen occupationally, in the job, with co-workers, with your employer, with your subordinates. We're all human beings. And I want to actually partake with you today of a technology that I became aware of that answered a lot of questions for me, and hopefully it will do so for you. So look at today's show as an invitation to take a look at what happens during the course of the day and to see if you can apply what I'm going to show today. So, without any further explanation or verbiage, let's put on the first video, because to me, videos are worth 1,000 words, and we can use those to set the stage. So Engineer Buddha, let's play the first video for our viewers.
Mi amor, you still mad at me?
¡No me toques!
Pero baby, please, perdóname, can we talk
¡No
about...
quiero hablar contigo!
Pero mi amor, ¿cómo arreglamos el
¡Oh my God, no te soporto! ¡Me da asco!
You don't let me talk to you. Déjame hablar contigo. ¿Cómo voy a arreglar el problema?
Tú sí que eres bien estúpido, ¿tú sabes eso? ¡Estúpido! En verdad, tú me caes súper mal, Juan.
I don't know what I did wrong and you're over here screaming at me.
Bájame el tonito de voz. No sabes lo que tú hiciste, Juan. No te hagas el loco.
Listen, I'm being serious. I don't know what I did wrong.
Pues tú no me conoces. If you don't know what you did wrong, you don't know me.
Esta mujer es más complicada. Uno trata de hablar
Oh, ahora no soy complicada.
¿Pues?
Tengo hambre. Ponte a guiar.
¿Qué tú quieres de comer?
Now you're gonna ask me what I want to eat?
Ay, pero...
So, I know it's never happened to you. I try to pick some choice videos out for us tonight to be able to laugh at some things that we all go through. And I know it's never happened to you. And a disclaimer I want to put at the beginning. This is no particular focus on the man or the woman, because it takes two, as it says, to dance or to tango, right? So there's two of us involved. Sometimes it's the man. In this particular one, it seems like it's the woman. But obviously, there's no discrimination. We're all entitled to be a little bit out of control at times. I'm being nice. I don't think we would be human if we didn't once in a while actually encounter some behavior that we weren't happy with in our lives. And so let's take a look at this. So here you saw something, and it seems like he's trying to be logical. You would think that it would calm her down. Yet you see that it's infuriating her. And I know if you tuned into our past episodes, you'd say, oh, yes, Doc, you're talking about her emotional tone level, this level that you've been speaking about in previous shows, this tone level, this emotional response. And it seems like she's angry, and it seems like he's trying to be a little bit logical, but that it's not working, and that she's reacting because what he's saying to her is not real to her. She's not understanding it. There's something that's happened here, so that there's a break in their ability to comprehend each other. And he doesn't understand. He's thinking, well, ay, mommy, ¿qué pasa? You know, why can't I'm trying to be nice to you? And then he asks her what she would like to eat, and it seems to infuriate her more. And I'm sure if my wife were here, she'd understand totally why the woman feels the way she does. And I'm sure if I had my friend Arturo here, he would say, well, Ben, yo entiendo por qué el hombre se siente así. He would say in English that, Ben, I understand why that poor guy, what he feels the way he does. And this is not anything to do with nationality or religion or race. It actually goes throughout the entire world. And I'm sure that all of us could laugh at our behavior at times, but it's very hurtful, because when it happens, probably there are thoughts that cross your mind about vengefulness, or why am I being singled out, or why doesn't he understand me, or why doesn't she understand me, or why is she picking on me? I thought she loved me, or I thought he loved me. And we have all these thoughts. Well, let's go to the next video, and we will play this one for you, because it has more that I want to bring out, because the solution to this will bring out subsequently. But I want to mention that obviously, if there was a different way of communicating, that would be helpful. And if there was an understanding of why each partner or person was doing what they were doing, and there was an understanding between the people of, oh, he's doing blah, blah, blah at this point, then I could do something differently. And that acting out, we could call it a drama, almost like a show, right? Very dramatic. You know, he was being very sorrowfully hurt, dramatic, and she was being very angrily dramatic. Like a drama. We could call this a dramatization. Just to have something cleared up before we go into it. But let's look at a few more dramatizations of the humor, agony of life. Buddha, let's put on the next video.
That's not how you fold the towels.
It doesn't matter how you fold a towel.
It does matter how you fold a towel. If you want it to fit in the closet, you have to roll it. Oh my God, could you chew any louder?
This goes on here. It takes 2 seconds.
Well, then the next person who comes in will do it.
That's not the point. Hey, did you throw away my leftovers?
No.
I could have Oh, you bitch.
What did you call me?
Nothing. The toilet paper goes over. It's printed that way so you can see it.
No, the toilet paper goes under so that the cats don't get at it.
That makes no sense.
What do you want to get for dinner?
I don't really care.
Then just pick something.
You choose.
Told you.
Shut up. I don't see why I have to put the utensils face down.
Because when they're sticking up like that, if someone trips and falls, they're going to impale themselves and die.
That's literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I'm not playing this game where I list every single thing and you shoot it all down. I'm not doing this again.
Well, then I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my gosh, watch this. This is the best line.
Did you watch this without me?
You weren't home! Seriously, 6 more inches and it's in the sink.
Well, then put it in 6 more inches. I get it.
I get it.
Anything will be fine. It's
Fine.
food.
Fine. All right, we're gonna get pizza.
Anything but pizza.
What do you want to eat?
That is Bill Paxton.
It is Bill Pullman.
Bill Paxton was in Aliens. That is Bill Paxton. That is him. Game over, man. That is that man right there. Why am I gonna put him away? I'm wearing them tomorrow morning.
I don't care if you're wearing them tomorrow morning. I don't want them just sitting by my side of the bed all night.
Why do you do this? You squeeze from the bottom. The next person doesn't have to squeeze then.
It's toothpaste. It's not like it's hard to squeeze it from a new area on the tube.
Why are we fighting about this?
Why are we fighting about this?
There we go. And I'm sure it brings memories, recent occurrences, situations that we all go through. And here you see it's a different cultural group. But as I said, we're not picking on any one particular group. This is a humanity issue. This is an issue that transcends all of us and will actually help also to clear up not only relationships individually, but prejudicial issues, social issues, issues where we don't get along. Because when you really look at it, we're all human beings and we're not perfect. We have frailties. We're amazing because we coordinate. But this will really help to clarify this point today. So there you see these issues and you see how each human being has their own point of view. But really, if you look at it, it was said by someone named Ron Hubbard, which I know most of you know that I've studied. Mr. Hubbard says that we're each one an individual universe and that we each one are entitled to our thoughts, our feelings. And you know what? I like that idea that I'm entitled to something, because in this world where so much is legislated out of our control, out of our universe, and out of our rights, or I was going to say in Spanish, los derechos que tenemos, the rights that we all have, it gets a little bit frustrating at times to feel that you're a wind in the wind and a leaf blowing in the wind, and that you're just working and that you have to work and that you don't have control over what you want to do with your life. So let's get to the facts here, because a lot of you are probably saying, okay, let's get, what is this magical solution? Well, nothing in life is magical, but when we have basic principles that we can look at and follow, then we can understand our behavior. And when we see that each one of us is trying to basically do what? Are we trying to die? No, we're not trying to die. So if we're not trying to die, we must be trying to survive. So, which is a basic principle in this book called Dianetics, which means dia through, nous the mind, by Mr. Hubbard. And basically, as an engineer, he tried to find out what worked for a human being to improve their life. And he found, first of all, that they followed this principle that we were all trying to survive, which to me made common sense and was no really big thing, obvious. But what I enjoyed about it is the explanation of why we act the way we do. And that we all have a past, obviously. And that sometimes, unfortunately, we act out our past, but the problem is out of our control. Did that woman at the beginning really want to be so hard on her husband. What was he doing wrong when he was just asking her what she wanted to eat? Is that logical? You could say, well, she was being emotional. Yes, but why was she being emotional? Why would she be so out of control? Because I don't think she really wanted to hurt him. She wanted to express her viewpoint, but it didn't get across. And how about the other couple? Voicing their opinions back and forth, but almost not hearing each other to the point of exasperation, where each one of them at the end feels bad about the way they behaved. Well, let's take a look and see if we can find a reason for this behavior, which Mr. Hubbard looked at after World War II when he was trying to help war veterans recover from injuries. So let's take a look, Buddha, at the third video of an explanation of why we dramatize the way we do out of past situations that were very difficult and traumatic. Let's play that.
Do you know someone who has never fully recovered from a serious loss in life? Or a traumatic experience? And in your own day-to-day life, do you sometimes experience self-doubts, negative thoughts, unreasonable fears, upsets, or irrational behavior? The painful experiences of our past clearly have an effect upon our present behavior. But to what degree and why? What causes the mind to depart from rational thought or behavior? That is the subject of Dianetics. Every moment of your life, your mind is recording everything that's happening to you. Every sight, every sound, every taste, smell, pain, emotion, touch, everything. These recordings form what is called the time track, a consecutive record of all the experiences accumulated throughout your existence. Your mind uses this information to make decisions and solve problems relating to your survival. The better its decisions, the better you survive. Most of this data is stored in your analytical mind, that part of your mind that thinks, remembers, and calculates. But some of your experiences are not recorded into those analytical memory banks. It is a discovery of Dianetics that all of your painful experiences are stored in a previously unknown part of the mind. It's called the reactive mind, and it throws those experiences back at you in an irrational attempt to get you to avoid the same painful thing from happening to you again. Here's a simple and common example. At some point, you've probably gotten sick from eating tainted food. Later in life, if you see or smell or possibly even think about that particular food again, you start to feel a little nauseous. Now, you know that logically, the mere sight or smell or thought of a food can't physically make your body ill, because you haven't actually eaten it again. And yet you're experiencing the same sick feeling you had before. This is your reactive mind, making you re-experience the same perceptions it recorded in that earlier incident, in a crude attempt to protect you from what it believes is a dangerous situation. It reacts solely on a stimulus-response basis and below your awareness. The painful experiences hidden in your reactive mind are the cause of your fears, insecurities, negative thoughts, unwanted emotions, and irrational behavior. You have been accumulating these deeply buried experiences throughout your existence. In fact, the most damaging among them occurred before you were born. Dianetics reveals how these negative experiences are stored and contains a technology to free yourself from them. What would life be like if all of the pain you've experienced no longer affected your abilities, emotions, and behavior? You would think and behave rationally, making the best possible decisions relating to your survival. You would be able to utilize your imagination and creativity to their fullest. You would be confident, more intelligent and productive and happier. You would be yourself, free to enjoy life and reach your full potential. In short, your mind would be clear. That is the goal of Dianetics. People achieve this state every day, and so can you.
Okay, so now let's take this and let's see if we can implement it. So now, here we have incidents in the past that occurred, traumatic, some more traumatic than others. Obviously, the more traumatic, the more painful, the more unconsciousness provoking, the more we're not aware of them. Because if you think about it, sometimes you go, where are my keys? And they're right in your pocket, and you go, how could I be so ignorant that my keys were in my pocket? I'm sure it's happened to you. Or you're looking for something, and all over the house, and you can't find it. How can that be? Well, obviously, at those moments, we lose some portion of our awareness, which is what the video was talking about. Those are simple examples of losing awareness. This is what happens when we get very upset, violently upset, very angry, have tremendous upsets with our favorite other, our couple, our husband, wife, fiance, and we have a tremendous fight and we want to kill each other and we want to get separated, or she throws the ring out the window, or you break something in the background because you feel you have to demonstrate your masculinity or whatever, really. And afterwards, how do you feel? You probably regret. And some of us say, no, I don't regret, I just feel that good riddance. But in reality, then later on you regret. Sometimes it takes longer to regret than others, and some of us never regret, and then regret much later when we get sick in life, because we realize then what we should have regretted earlier. But should we have regretted or helped to prevent it to begin with? So what I'm going to be presenting is, how do we prevent it to begin with? Well, let's use this information from Dianetics, is that if you see that your spouse is acting and dramatizing, or acting out, you could say, out of control, out of normal, out of the ordinary, where you're trying everything and it just doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, obviously all form of logic has gone out the window. And we're dealing what is called the reactive portion of the mind. That reactive portion, not under the volitional control of the person, which is causing them to act out, create this drama, and probably react as they did years earlier in a situation that now in present time is reminding them, although they're not reminded analytically, they're not aware that they're being reminded. It's coming reactively out of this portion of the mind in the past. But now they're dramatizing it out of control because it was very painful to them. So they don't want to be aware, and they don't want to go through the same thing again. An example would be, let's say, somebody who had a bad relationship and a really painful breakup, whether it be a man or a woman, and now it's happened a few times, and now they're with their third fiance or the third boyfriend, or it's their second marriage, or it's their third marriage, and a similar situation happens. And you can say, well, of course, because it's happened before. But that's the point, is to recognize that's what's happening. Why? Because if we have an understanding between the couple that this is what's occurring, we can realize at that point to back off and not to continue the conversation, but to give the person a time to cool off, a time for that person to calm down. Calm down from what? Calm down from whatever has been pressed in, whatever has been made active that came from the past, that's causing her to call him a fool, or that he's not to touch her, or to cause him to give all these professorial, or like a judicial judge telling his wife how to fold the laundry. Really, if you look at either one of those, not really very nice to the other person to have to experience. So if they both had an understanding of this to begin with, and if you watching could have this understanding with your spouse or with your friend, you could realize that when you're each acting in this way, you could make an agreement not to try and get through this immediately, but to give each other a little space so that things wouldn't be broken, so that feelings wouldn't be hurt, so that you wouldn't suffer a needless upset in a beautiful relationship that otherwise was the hope of your life. And this way, not create something larger out of something really that you're both the victim of. Not something that you were doing because you were, vehemently, demonic and a bad person. No, that you were a normal human being experiencing something that it reminded you of something in your past that you didn't want to experience again, but had not recollection of, which happens to many of us all during our lives. If you think about this and you say, Dr. Fialkoff, what you're talking about could be applied to wars, not just to relationships. And the answer to that would be yes. If a politician, community leader was looking at this, yes, you could use this socially. And you could realize if somebody was vehemently attacking you in public, probably the best thing would be not to engage that argument. Because the person is probably really not coherent. It's never going to get anywhere. Because it's going to continue. If it was utilized in an international sphere, the leader could realize that they would not get anywhere with that mindset, and they maybe would allow a cooling off period, even though they were maybe in a Camp David type of accord, and give themselves some time to calm down, and maybe in a day or two, then try to communicate, but in a logical frame of mind. I hope that this has helped. I hope that you find it useful. You can find this in Mr. Hubbard's Dianetic book, which is online at Dianetics.org. I give it to you as a concept to look at, not as something to take on face value or because I'm professing this, but to take a look and see if it helps you and if it works. One of the things I enjoy about when I apply his works is that he has a saying that's what's true for you is what's true for you. And if you read something that he's written and it's not true to you, then it's not true. And I find that the best disclaimer that I could give. Sometimes I feel that it gets attacked only because it brings peace and joy and harmony to the world, when sometimes it seems like the world benefits monetarily from chaos, stress, and sickness, and war and murder. And I think it's time that as humanity, we took a look at some of the realities of life and let's move forward. Let's really create a world that all our religions want, whether it be Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist, Islamic, Mohammedan, Scientologists, Christian Scientists, whatever it may be. Let's actually create a brotherhood. Let's use the understanding we have like we use cell phones, and let's move forward. Let's find out the real cause of our bigotries and hatreds, and let's see if we can do something about them. It's been a pleasure to be with you again on the show, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. And for now, I bid you a much better week with your favorite other, in your community, in your job, and in your world tomorrow. Good night.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got. The world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet